make a girl a promise. If you know you can't keep it. They let me pick. Did I ever tell you that? Choose whichever Spartan I wanted. You know me. I did my research, watched as you became the soldier we needed you to be. Like the others, you were strong and swift and brave. A natural leader. But you had something they didn't. Something no one saw but me. Can you guess? Luck.
I lied. I said that I'm ready. I said me too. I'm ready to go, and I pressed the button. This is all on me. It's my responsibility. I'm literally the one that put the show live. I'm the one that's not ready. I am ready. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Xbox Series podcast, episode something. We are here in it for another great time. We're going to squeeze this show in before Dragon's Dogma 2 launches in a few hours' time. We've got the full team in action. Deadly Headley, you've managed to take a good few days off of social media. You're looking radiant. You're looking like it did you some good. How are you doing?
It has done me some good. You know what? I have actually really enjoyed just sort of putting down the morning Twitter doom scroll and trying to be more productive, especially with the mornings being brighter. It's been really nice. Can sort of feel all the good free serotonin that comes with sunshine coming back into my life. Very, very happy about it. How are you doing, Asa?
I'm fantastic. I do regular trying to avoid social media sprees because it does bring you down. All the conversation there is always, I don't know what it is about social media, but it floats all the bad stuff. So if you start like viewing the world through that lens, then gaming suddenly sucks. Fortunately, that's not the real world. So I just walk away from it on a regular basis. Important skill to have. Gamzly, you look far less radiant than Deadly Headley. What's going on?
So bad. I'm growing the beard. I'm rotting, dude. I'm rotting just like this potato. That's been on my desk for friggin' ever.
Managed to land yourself in the same prison cell that you were broken out of last week.
Yes.
I see.
Yeah. Darge broke me out last week. I'm all good. I'm ready to go. I'm having a lot of fun. Yeah, social media sucks, Headley. Like, just a bunch of noise in there. But, you know, not the people in the chat. The people in the chat are awesome, except for episode 13.
Downside, though, as I
you can tell from your face that you got the Gaming Arcadia butt plug. Stop putting that face, Gamzly. You're going to be off-putting for the rest of the show.
as we were just saying in the green room, though, the downside to me spending less time on social media is I'm basically relying on these guys to catch me up with the news. And Gamzly's potato, which can you still call it a potato at this point?
Bro, it's growing shit out of places I don't even understand, to be honest.
There's a reasonable chance that thing does start talking somewhere through the show. I've got a feeling it's going to sound like gas.
Can you imagine our views would go through the fucking a talking potato?
Yeah.
We'd go
Let's
viral.
do.
Let's be real.
We will. Let's put the sentient
get into
potato to one side for a second. If that doesn't offend it too much, we'll leave it to one side. And let's talk a little bit about the games that we've been playing. Deadly Headley, you've been on social media, so I reckon you've had time to pick up a controller. What have you been up to?
So you know what? I thought I would go and play something retro this week. Partly because it was in a very reasonably priced sale on the Xbox store. I picked up Bully, as in Rockstar's Bully, from the Xbox 360 days because I'd never actually played it. And I've really enjoyed it. Like, other than, you know, a little bit of PTSD coming in from the school days and all the shit that comes with being at a high school. But I've had a really good time with it. I've not long unlocked the skateboard, which I didn't know was a thing. So that's been a wicked mode of transport for me. I immediately started a fight with the faction that wears the white shirts, who I now come to understand are literally the bullies, as far as I'm aware. But like I showed up at the school, walked through the front gates, saw that there were two dudes standing in front of me and kind of in the way. One of them looked at me funny, so I just started a fight. I hadn't even learned how to fight yet. Just went straight in for it. And I've had a really good time. So I'm enjoying that a lot.
Oh, dude, I'm so happy that you played this. Like, it's such a legendary game. When I saw that on the list, I was like, dude, yes, let's go. But there's one other thing on the list that I've noticed. What is that?
There's two, actually. So there's two.
Right.
One of them.
Mute in the conversation for a moment. Let me just bring this Rockstar Games Presents Bully trailer up and have a little conversation around Bully. Eh? How does being like...
Go on.
See, I don't... I know what you're going to say, and we are going to get back to it, I promise. But Bully, how does it hold up today in terms of like the themes? Because it's 17 years old.
Questionable. I'm not going to lie, kind of questionable. Like, you just sort of... It's one of those things where, like, if you watch... Even as, like... Because it came out sort of mid-noughties, didn't it? I think if I watched something like American Pie, for instance, there's some humour... Yes, the noughties. Sorry, what do you say? Naughties?
Not 90s?
You don't say it at all, do you?
What the hell are you talking about?
Okay, so like the period of time between the 1990s and the 2010s, what do you call that? The 2000s? We call it the noise on this side. This is fine. We can call it 2000s. Anyway, a lot of content made in the 2000s hasn't necessarily aged well as far as like humor or, you know, sexism, misogyny, racism, etc. It reminds me of being at school and some of the shit that would have flied at school and some of the shit that wouldn't have flied at school but did anyway. It sort of hits that tonally quite well. I mean, it's a Rockstar game, so you don't actually really expect it to be politically correct anyway. But it could be a lot worse. It really could. So far, I'm really enjoying it. In terms of sort of fidelity and how it feels to play, actually very, very well. Feels really nice to play on the Xbox Series X. Load times are effectively instant, which is lovely. Yeah, I don't often go back and play Xbox 360 games on the Series X, but I'm having a really good time with this one. I've heard over the years so many people say it's a really fun game by Rockstar. It's definitely a game that you should play. And I thought, screw it, I got it for £8, which is well worth the money. And yeah, I'm having a really good time. That's about 50 quid Canadian, I think.
Yeah, I went to it's not 50 quid. Your next game.
It's 50 right? bucks.
Yeah.
I
know what your next game is, and I started to type it. I was going to bring up the trailer, and I started to type it into the search bar on YouTube, and somehow I wanted to write Brotato trailer, but the words that came out were literally Brotato sucks, and I just subconsciously typed that in there. Like, no, go on. What's the game, Deadly Headley?
So the other game that I have been playing, because there are two other games, is... Spoiler alert, I have been playing Brotato. I didn't play it for very long, but I did play it for a bit and I really enjoyed it. I still haven't finished it, by the way. Asa still holds the crown for that one, even though Gamzly's probably finished it as well. I died right before the end of Wave 20, which was frustrating. So I am gonna beat that. I feel like I'm either really bad at Brotato, or no, it's got to be that. It's got to be that because Brotato's not a bad game. It's
No, I want to know the
fantastic. And the last one that I've been playing has been Halo Infinite. I briefly jumped in to check out the new update, which we may talk about a little bit later. We'll see how timings go. I sort of feel like I'm playing with one hand behind my back though, because at the moment I don't have an Elite controller, and I cannot play shooters anymore without an Elite pad. I need the paddles on the bottom. I don't like taking my hands off the sticks, and it's been sent away for repair because Microsoft can't fix their fucking bumpers to stop breaking, or stick drift. Like, it's either one or the other. This time it was bumpers. But it's okay because it happened within 6 days of my controller going out of warranty. So I sort of swept in under the rug.
Got it on the right side,
Yeah. So we got lucky there. So that hopefully is in transit either now or will be at the start of next week. So I'll be back on form. Don't get me wrong, I still hold my own in Halo Infinite without an Elite pad, but it just doesn't feel right. You know, anyone who's used one of those controllers that has like the back paddles and stuff like that, so that you don't have to take your right thumb especially off of your aiming stick to then go and press a button to like jump or whatever, and if you play Halo you typically end up jumping a lot. It just doesn't feel right. Episode 13, you're saying you use a normal controller. I promise you, mate, it will change your life. I swear to you, whether it's Scuff, whether it's an Elite pad, or I haven't actually tried.
I've got to ask,
to be fair.
Gamzly, can you imagine playing Halo without using the paddles on an Elite controller?
Oh man, yeah, I can't.
It's tone deaf from me right now, isn't it? Sorry, Gamzly.
Can't imagine. Won't imagine. Anyways. Man, I love. Honestly,
do you have any like concessions for first-person shooters? Because they do get quite twitchy. Like, how do you feel with first-person shooters, Gamzly? Do you play them much, like competitively at all, or not really?
Those are like first-person shooters, like competitive first-person shooters on controllers for me are like, they're they kill me. They kill me because I know I have the reflexes and I can do it. It's just that, well, I think I've said this on other spoiler alert if you guys don't know, I have a physical disability with my hands. I don't have full range of motion or even the fingers, but let me just say it. The adaptive controller pedals changed the game for me because I could like put shoot on a pedal, like a I don't know, a piano pedal, input. So it's been really it really did up my game in every shooter. Now I could just keep my palm on the aim, and obviously my left hand has no trouble reaching the aim button and the left bumper and moving around at the same time. So the problem was always shooting and aiming precisely. So now that I have the pedal, it's actually quite good, but I just haven't played enough shooters nowadays to like take full advantage. Halo, I gotta hop on with the community in Halo. I feel like I could pull my weight now, or just play on PC, which I could definitely do with mouse and keyboard. But yeah, Xbox controller usually not for me with the regular Xbox controller for shooters, but I get by. You
get by in everything that we play because you quite regularly show up on our Sunday community sessions and beat me a stupid Mario Kart and stuff like that.
Members could join in on, right?
Exactly. Those that are not aware of it, those that are not already members of the Discord, every Sunday we have some community sessions. Other times of the week as well, there's usually people playing games together and all the rest of it. Great times. And there is a competition running within that community right now to win a copy of Dragon's Dogma 2. So if you've heard of that game and you think you might want to play it, be a member of the channel, join the Discord. It is a brilliant time, pretty much constantly over there. So highly recommended.
And Patreon, right?
And Patreon. There is a Patreon up and running as well. Doesn't matter which one you go for, whether you go through YouTube or Patreon, they all get you into the Discord, or get you the same bits and pieces. So do it. You're not green anymore. I don't know, so shady. I don't know. So, Gamzly, what have you been up to? What have you been playing?
So, I have right before the podcast, I was actually hopping into Evil West on Game Pass, um, because it just dropped recently, and I was listening to some reviews, and a lot of them were like, yeah, you could, it's kind of passable, it's kind of skippable, but the combat is super fun and engaging. And I was like, okay, cool. And they're like, if you get it on sale, go do that. I think I was listening to ACG, but um, so I was like, okay, interesting. I'll put it on my, in the back of my mind on my wish list for one day for a Steam sale, like yesterday. Steam sales are amazing. But yeah, it got announced for Game Pass, and that I took my opportunity, and I hopped in, and it's really fun. I wish it has a very interactable combat system, and it doesn't do. What can I compare it to? It
Outriders.
It does a blend. Sorry.
Outriders.
Sorry.
That's the
Oh,
immediate
yes.
point of comparison
Yes.
for me. It looks a lot like.
Yes, but I don't remember Outriders. Does it have a like stagger counter system? Not stagger as in like shoot this many times a stagger to dude and he falls. Does it have an actual like?
Does it have like, you mean the Doom-like executions, that kind of thing?
Yes. No.
I don't think
does
so.
not, right?
No.
Okay, so let me put it that way then. So in Doom, when you get certain creatures to low life enough that you could like do these finishing moves and it drops life for you and all these stuff, think about that. It has that system, but it also has that glow. That's
Interesting. So
special
Gamzly
moves
doesn't know
that
this.
they
Always
start
back.
to.
Sorry, that was a massive interruption. It wasn't you, because both you and Deadly Headley both froze at the same time. Should be fine now. Carry on.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay, yeah. In Doom, the executions are executions, but in this game, it kind of works the same way where you could actually interrupt creatures when they glow a certain, like they're doing a special move that they have, and they glow a certain color, and when they glow that color, you can actually shoot with your gun or hit them with the fist if you're close enough. You could do that same execution move to stun them in action. So let's say you're getting into a combat, like you're fighting the guy, you're dodging, weaving, and then you get into a fist fight, and then the glow appears, and you just hit the counter button. It'll stop his special move, and it flows really nicely because it starts. Every enemy will have that special move that you could interrupt, and then they start shooting like flying enemies at you at the same time as ground enemies. So it starts to flow like you don't have infinite counters. Your gun that you could counter with has 4 shots in the chamber, so you have to really pick what enemy you want to counter. So for me, it starts to get chaotic because there's ground enemies you want to counter that you could counter with your gun or your fist. So usually you'd be like, okay, well, ground enemies I want to stop with my fist, and then the flying enemies at afar you want to stop with your gun. So it starts to flow really, really well, and they reward you with obviously health drops and more damage on those attacks. It's very well done. It's a nice flow. So I'm having a blast with it. I couldn't put it down. It's very stiff. The story's upgrade system is but it has a fun combat system with fun combos and stuff like that. If you're into any sort of doomy style game, go for that. Have some fun with it. Yeah, so that's what I've been playing, and as well as Dragon Dogma 1, but I don't know how deep of a dive you want me to do with that.
Wow. Well, so
Dragon
let's say
Dogma.
we'll talk about Dragon's Dogma 2 in a little bit, so we can call on your experience with the first one when we do that. But
Perfect.
Evil West,
So that's what I've been
do you
playing.
reckon it's a game that you're going to finish? Do you reckon there's obviously a lot going on, a lot of games coming out at the moment? Is that one going to pull you back in?
Man, right now, so again, I played it like just as I was speaking to Headley before the podcast, and it really did grip me. I thought I was just gonna like jump in for like the tutorial or whatever, but I ended up spending like an hour and a half on it straight. But as I'm talking about it right now, I don't really have a desire to go back, even if I did have like a fun time. Nothing else is grabbing me but the combat. This the lore is kind of cool. It's a Western kind of like you're a bounty hunter in the Western world, fighting off demons and stuff. It's like a cool lore. It's a cool world ish, but I just have no. I as of right now, I don't have a desire to really go back. Dragon Dogma's knocking at my door. I'm ready for it.
Cool. Let's talk about that. Let's move straight on. There's quite a few things that we're going to talk about today. There's some things that we'll see how time goes, but ones that we're definitely going to try and cover are obviously Dragon's Dogma 2 is coming up, so we'll talk about that in a minute. We've got various things Halo going on, which we're going to talk about right now, and there are bits and pieces coming out of GDC that we're going to try and cover as well. So let's start going straight in, because Deadly Headley, you mentioned that you've been playing Halo. I know that you've been watching Halo as well. Let's talk about everything Halo all at once, and we'll start with you, Deadly Headley. You get to choose now whether you talk about the TV series or the game. Halo.
I'm going to go with the TV series, which is painful in a way because these guys still haven't watched it, chat. Can you believe that? They haven't watched it, and they know I want to talk about it. But I think I've convinced both of them that it's worth a go. So if any of you haven't watched it, I'm going to tell you to do the same. So Halo Season 2 finished airing today. So you can now go and stream all of Season 1 and all of Season 2 on Paramount Plus, and I highly recommend that you do. I personally think that you should go and watch both of them, despite the fact that I would agree with the general sentiment that Season 1 could have been better. And that's, I'm being very, very diplomatic with that one, because I know that some people would probably have a much more visceral reaction to it than I did. But I think it's worth sticking with because Season 2 really does a hell of a lot more. The best way that I can position Halo this series is that from the off, Paramount and 343 made it very clear that they were going to go for a different timeline. So it's not necessarily going to be the same story that is told in the games and in the books, etc. And there are definitely pros and cons to that approach. Coming off the back of Season 2 and now seeing that come to completion, I am very, very impressed with the story narratives that they have told. And I think, for me, probably one of the most exciting things now, having Season 2 in its entirety, is the fact that I genuinely don't know what's going to happen next. So, watching Season 2... and minor spoiler alert, but it really shouldn't be much of a spoiler at this point. The final episode of Season 2 is called Halo. When I found that out before Season 2 had even started airing, I kind of figured, okay, cool, we can probably expect the start of Season 3 to play out exactly as Combat Evolved does. I'm giving you the heads up now that it won't. There are some serious story diversions that create very interesting narrative threads that I genuinely don't know how they're going to resolve. And that, for me, as a Halo fan, right now is very, very exciting. Because when I look at, and again, sorry, Gamzly, but you have been warned, I really like The Last of Us a lot. I love the games. I love both of them. And I'm sorry, but I'm not. I'm actually not. I really liked the TV show.
Oh no, it's happened again. And like last time, I'm sure they'll be back any second now. So, Deadly Headley really liked the TV show.
A little freeze. Oh, are we back?
You really like
cool.
the TV show. Carry on.
Yeah. So really, Gamzly's still pissed. I can tell. So. Let's compare the Last of Us TV show to the Halo TV show in a very simplistic way. I knew exactly what was going to happen in the Last of Us TV show, and that's fine because you knew exactly what you were getting. You knew the story it was going to tell, and if you knew the story, you were going to have a good time. If you didn't know the story, you'd be taken along a pretty good ride. Halo does not do that. And as long as you are okay with that, as long as you are aware of that as a hardcore Halo fan going in, and you can park your expectations to one side like a fucking adult, you will be fine. If you go in with those expectations of, no, it's not canon, it's not the pure lore, I kind of think you're sort of cutting your own nose off to spite your face, based on how I am reacting for Season 2. I really, really wish that I could tell you more about what happened at the end of season 2. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to spoil anything. But I have come away going, holy fuck, that was
just spoil it.
Some next level shit.
Just do it.
I can't do it. No, I'm not going to. Man. I can't do it because I'm shocked at how good that ending was. That's all I'm going to say. I am shocked at how good that last episode was, and it is worth watching. That's my piece.
Okay, cool. You sold me. I'm going to binge it. 100%.
It's worth watching. It's definitely worth binging.
More importantly, you sold my wife on it because she's bought into like watching that series now. So when you were talking about it a couple of weeks ago, that's coming up. We are going to get there. We are going to watch it. We'll be able to talk about it, but probably way after the point where it's relevant and where nobody cares about it. So that'll be fun. It's interesting because all of these things. Yeah, go on.
I was just going to say, I have quite a few friends at work, and I usually talk about different ones, but I will refer to them all as I have a mate at work. I have a mate at work that I haven't referred to on this podcast before, but I will give him a little shout out. I asked him on the off chance if he had been watching Halo. Bearing in mind he had at this point then told me after I'd asked that first question that he had played some of the games, but he's not by any account a gamer. He has not owned a games console or PC, etc. In a long time. I think the last Halo game that he remembers playing was Halo 3, but his friend had the Xbox 360. He didn't. So his recollection of the original story is fairly shaky. But when he saw that the TV show had come out, he thought, yeah, I'll give it a go. We hadn't spoken about this show before, so when I asked him, his face lit up and he was like, mate, I love it. I've been watching it every week. I was like, I'm really glad that we can talk about this.
He's not watching The Last of Us? That's crazy.
He did watch The Last of Us. He really liked The Last of Us, but that aired like 18 months ago, dude.
Sit down, Gamzly. Put the potato back on.
But I would, with all due respect, I would describe my friend at work a normie because he is like he's not in this community. He will not go out of his way to watch a podcast like this. He might do now that he knows that I'm giving him a shout out on this show. But he's watching this episode tonight. And I'm so excited about us going through it tomorrow because I want to know what his reaction is as someone who doesn't know the lore, who doesn't necessarily know what to expect.
I regret saying it. You've done it, Gamzly. You win this round.
It's so funny. Go on, Gamzly. Say some stuff about Halo.
Man, I hurt my back. Oh man,
it's funny. You mentioned your friend not being particularly a gamer, but liking Halo a little bit. My dad is not a gamer. He's played 3 game series in his entire life. One of them was Sega Rally on a Christmas morning. He picked up a Sega Saturn controller. I just unboxed my Sega Saturn. He picked up a Sega Saturn controller, steered the car into the left wall, into the right wall, put down the controller, and said, "Well, this is too difficult for me." The other 2 games he's played are Flight Sim, and he bought an Xbox series. I don't know if he's got an S or an X, to be honest, but he bought an Xbox specifically for Flight Sim. And he's played every single Halo game, which is like it's so far removed from not being able to play Sega Rally and liking Flight Sim. And he used to work with flight simulators and stuff, so that was like his bag. To, for some reason, Halo somehow managed to reach across that little boundary and pull him into play the entirety of it from 1 through to Infinite, which is... I'm not going to annoy that, but it's just kind of interesting. I don't know if he's watched the TV series. I haven't spoken to him for a little while. I should probably get on with that.
I think generally the TV series seems to be making a success for itself and making a name for itself. As episode 13 has said in the chat, it's really cool that it is reaching what we call, very inoffensively, by the way, but normies, like it's good. It's really, really good that it is penetrating a different demographic to the ones that you would expect it to, like everybody watching this show, because I think as someone who has always loved the Halo IP and really wants to see it do well, wants it to grow, wants Xbox to grow and have more people, especially a newer generation of fans and gamers, no matter how old they are, buy into Halo the IP. I think it's really good for Xbox. It's really good for Halo, and it's an exciting time to be a Halo fan again. And it's been a long time since Halo fans have really been able to say with their full chest, yes, I like being a Halo fan.
And like as Halo goes, Paramount seem willing to actually market the thing and stick it on the side of buses and stuff. So Microsoft are going to benefit a little bit from that, right? Gamzly, I'm going to give you.
Didn't they? Oh, sorry. Didn't they have something crazy like a 300 million marketing thing? How much marketing did they put in? A lot? No, not 300. I'm misspeaking. But they put in a ton of marketing. Paramount themselves. But yeah,
I'm not
anyways,
sure
it's
what they
nice to
put
see.
in. I'm not sure what they put in financially, but yeah, I have seen it everywhere. And like Asa said, like it has been on the side of buses and billboards and stuff like that. And
Cool
I
stuff.
think what it's unfortunately doesn't have the Xbox branding next to it. I wonder if maybe next season there's a way of Xbox being able to square that circle, because I think overall that would be quite good for the brand. But I don't really know how you do that, because they are separate entities. The only thing that ties Halo to Xbox is the IP.
Yeah, we've seen multiple instances though. Like Cyberpunk was a really good example of people seeking more of that IP just because they're enjoying it. So Paramount pushing that, getting people watching it, getting them into it, might get them sniffing around the Xbox and might do some of the work for them. But Gamzly, I'm going to put the power in your hands now. You can either say something about the Halo TV series, or you can smooth it over and say something about the Halo the game, or you can just like bat it back over to Deadly Headley, who's been playing the game. So much power.
Oh, jeez. You know what? I am going to pass it to Deadly and then go watch Halo and skip out on the podcast. No. I'll just say I need more sci-fi in my life. Like there's a sci-fi show right now going. I read the book. It's called If You Read Books. Probably none of you do. Read The Three Body Problem. If you're into sci-fi, read The Three Body Problem. It's incredible. It's Japanese, I believe, but well, it's written in English. Obviously, I was
going to say I'm not reading it. Not learning a language for it, but yeah.
But it's from a Japanese author. He's extremely brilliant. He's super smart. There's a lot of realism in that book. A lot of possible things that he took real science into perspective and really flexed his mind muscles. So go read that book. And so that there's a TV series based on it right now. I don't know if it's doing very well, but I'm totally ready for some sci-fi. And I want Halo to be that big thing, and the numbers look good, so I'm down, and I need to support this, and I will support this. Segueing into the games, I really like it. Just seems like it's how do I say? It's to the point. Halo's to the point right now, present day, where I think it's a little underappreciated at its current form. I think if the season is doing really well, the TV show is doing really well. The game is also doing pretty well. Like I've heard a lot of good things about Infinite. It just seems to be having this resurgence, and not many people are talking about it, which is kind of weird. I guess because there's so much other success around it that it's kind of just muffled. But I'm happy for 343. I'm happy for Halo, and I hope it continues, and I'm ready to play with the community. Hopefully soon when I sort my life and apartment out. But yeah, I totally want to play as soon as possible. I've heard good things. Back to Headley.
You're obviously back in your prison cell now. What's going on with that? When do we get to see you in your new place?
Well, I think I'm going to be here in my prison cell with Darge for a long time. No, I should be in my new place with a new like backsplash and a cool room and all that stuff. Probably by the end of next month. But luckily for me, I have this prison cell that I could come back to anytime I want. I'm not in a rush, so I'm ready. I'm ready to do that stuff.
Perfect. Ryan in chat is aware of your three body problem. Seems to have read that as well. It says it's Chinese rather than Japanese. Just for clarity on that one.
That was a terrible. I'm so sorry. It's Chinese. Yeah, I apologize. But Ryan, I freaking love Three Body Problem. Maybe if we could interact later about it. It's so mind bending that and it's sad because I don't have many people that know about it, so I can't really pick their brains and pick my own brain out loud about it. Like I really want to. So maybe Ryan, you and we can talk about it.
Mind bending, yeah. Joe's gifted a Gaming Arcadia membership. So Shady, your name is green again. So enjoy that. Get on the Discord. Get involved. Deadly Headley.
So Shady also said that his mum is enjoying the Halo series. So shout out to her. That's awesome. It's really, really cool. And I absolutely agree with you. She should be your co-op partner. Please let us know if that happens, because I really think it should.
Agreed. Yes, I want that to happen. You've been playing the Halo Infinite multiplayer. So Halo Infinite, it's my favorite current like pancake shooter because it just does a lot of things that suit my personal style of play in terms of like how it is visibly, just being able to pass a scene and see what I'm supposed to shoot. It's really clean in that sense, which is it's an art form in itself in terms of making a competitive shooter. But I played it with some of the Gaming Arcadia people in the week, and we had a mostly brilliant time on a Halo 3 playlist specifically. So peeling back some of the new things that it does and playing it old style 4v4 on some Halo 3 maps was a brilliant time. This week, they've updated the game. They've supposedly finally tidied up the netcode that the more competitive players had an issue with. And they've added a bit of content as well. So it's definitely going to be one of the games that we play on Sunday. Gamzly, if you wanted to jump in, that's the time to do it. Deadly Headley, you're going to show us all up with your brilliant skills, I'm sure, if you're there.
Yeah.
Tell me about your experience with it, because you played it since the patch. Did you feel anything different? Is it? Oh no, Discord's done again. So as soon as it unfreezes, there we go.
Why is it doing that?
And it's not me this time.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was your question?
So you've played Halo Infinite post-patch, post-update, new netcode, all the rest of it. Does it? I mean, can you perceive the difference? Does it feel brilliant? And what's the new content like if you've touched it?
Netcode wise, I don't really feel like I've played enough in the last few days to go definitive on how the netcode is improved. I have seen content from much more hardcore creators, like I know Mint Blitz had posted like a really interesting sort of before and after netcode patches, where even things like I know pre-patch the game had a real struggle with automated elements on maps. So things like the wheel in Zanzibar, or the remake of Zanzibar, now moves and now functions like it did in the older games, because I think before, when players tried to interact with a moving object, they would just sort of judder a lot as they're moving up, whereas now the motion, if they're standing on the motion is much smoother when you're on like a moving platform or something like that. The big highlight for me this update has been, and I still haven't checked out all the maps that have been added, but I'm really excited to go and jump back into it. Squad battle has had a lot of love on Halo Infinite, so I'm just going to pull up the maps that we've got. So I can't remember the list of maps that are currently on there for Squad Battle. I know Waterworks from Halo 2 was on there originally, which was always one of my favorites. I can't remember what was on there. But what has been added is Perdition, Refuge, struggling to remember what those two are. Timberland Evolved, which first showed up on Halo for PC, Halo CE for PC, and then made its way into the series on console for the first time when Halo Reach came out, and has since been a Forge map that has shown up quite regularly. It's a really, really nice map for 8v8 play, and if you don't know about Squad Battle on Halo Infinite, Halo Infinite's big team battle mode is now 12v12. Squad battle is 8v8. So sort of brings in that sort of more classic Halo big team battle feel. It's definitely my favorite playlist. It feels like the most balanced. It feels like the most paced. And I'm really enjoying that. So there's a couple other maps on there. Rendezvous, which is from Halo ODST, I believe. Jaya, don't recognize that one. Harvest, which is from Halo 4, and Behemoth, which is actually a new map that shipped with Halo Infinite anyway. So you've got 7 new maps that have been rotated into the squad battle playlist, and I think there were already, I want to say 4 or 5, but again, I might be wrong on that. But there's a lot
It
more
feels
now. So.
way more fresh now when you go on it and it starts presenting you different maps. When it launched and for a long time afterwards, if you did Big Team Battle, there were 3 maps in rotation. And now you go into any mode and it feels a lot more fresh and a lot more fun to go into. It's funny, I didn't actually know that they'd reduced the big team from 16 to 12. When I'm playing shooting games in general, I typically find like the less people there are, the more significant you are and the more tight and fun the game is when you get bigger and bigger and bigger. So I really enjoy 8v8 on Halo, and I really enjoy 4v4
Big team's
on Halo.
gone up to 24. Big team used to be 16 players. It's now 24 players, but squad battle is your new
24 versus 24.
Player. No, 12v12 on.
So that's gone down from
Halo
what it was
Infinite.
then, because it used to be 16 versus 16.
Oh, did it?
I thought so.
Really?
I could be completely wrong. Maybe not, actually. I could be completely arsing it up. But generally, when I played it was too many people, and I felt pretty ineffective, which kind of suited me because I wasn't very good at the game. Like it's the coward's way to play, because you can run around and not do very much, and you don't really have much impact on whether your team wins or loses. But my point more so was that's always the problem that I've had with the Battlefield series, because like. You get this idea that bigger is always better and spectacle is going to trump everything, and the Battlefield series does spectacle like nothing else in terms of things that can happen and things that are going on in the grand scheme of things, but I never felt like I was actually involved or doing anything meaningful in that series. And the big team battles in Halo, it didn't really matter if I had the controller in my hands or not. It wasn't going to make like a massive difference to the outcome of the game. You go down to 8 and suddenly you're that much more important, and you go down to 4 and you're really important. So it's cool. I like playing Halo at the moment anyway. Playing like a coward. No, Pete, not like a coward or a wanker. No stealth. No stealth.
I think the only other notable changes that I've got for Halo are there is now a firefight custom mode that I think is easier to implement into a custom game lobby. So that's good. General quality of life improvements to Forge, stability of the game, weapon tweaks and balancing as well, because there were a few things that were pretty OP. I think that their headline ads seem to be anti-cheat, because that has changed significantly. The netcode update and the squad battle refresh. The good times on Halo Infinite, and like Gamzly has said, and like you've said, Asa, they are supporting it well. They are refreshing it. They're clearly giving it some love, and hopefully the morale boost from this series and the success of that just brings some more eyes onto the IP.
Anti-cheat's an interesting one, because it's not just Halo. Microsoft have been rolling easy anti-cheat out into several of their games. Sea of Thieves is getting that update as well. But the people here that play Halo, did you find that it was like infiltrated by a massive cheats in the way that some games are? I've not played it enough to really encounter that, and generally when I die I just assume that it was fair play and I got shot again. So
terrible, just like you are in driving. Anyways, I haven't experienced it. I haven't experienced it either. Maybe cheating on these. I wish I cared so much, because shooters are just never my competitive thing, because obvious reasons that we explained before. But I've never noticed. I just, like you, I've always assumed that I was just bad, or they're just much quicker. So I never notice if these guys are like shooting through walls or not. I never notice.
And it doesn't have the kill cams to give it away, does it?
The kill cam, if it gives it away, obviously, but I don't usually stay focused long enough. But yeah, Headley, have you like noticed a ton of cheaters?
Not particularly. I don't know if they show up more in ranked or not, because I don't really play ranked on Halo Infinite, to be fair. I only like playing ranked if I play with a squad, but I never really play with a full squad, which is sad. I should change that. I need more spare time.
You just need me. Once
Halo
I get
Infinite
my pedal action going.
Good. Looking forward to it. Halo Infinite has that massive problem that games can have with cheats, though, in that it is the multiplayer component of it is free to play, which is like the biggest invitation for people to try their luck with bots and hacks and things. So typically a game that is free to play, people will just spin up an account, cheat, and when they get caught and banned, they've not lost a thing. Whereas a game that has any kind of barrier to entry, like you have to pay some money to play it, people are a little more wary because at that point you're actually losing something if you do get caught and banned. So you'd think it would be absolutely like a cesspit of cheats and villainy, but yeah, I haven't particularly noticed it. It might be because all of the cheats are ranked so much higher than me that I just don't see them. Like right down in the slums where everyone's terrible. Why would there be any cheats there? What am I even talking about? Of course there's not.
It must be connected very closely to your Xbox account too, right? Am I wrong? I guess like
you can,
Steam
if it's free, you could do a new Xbox account. Like boom,
Yeah.
Like, that's how difficult it would be if you wanted to cheat.
I get it. Okay.
Mm.
All right.
Anyway,
so
let's move on to our next game because I've got this image staring at me and it's making me kind of aroused, kind of uncomfortable. I'm going to do it.
Don't show it. No, don't do it.
It's on screen. I'm sorry, everybody. If you're listening to the podcast, I'm not even going to. Headley, describe for audio listeners what's on screen right now.
How am I supposed to describe that and keep it within Apple and Spotify's guidelines? There's well, you know how Gamzly typically doesn't have like a half-naked body with boobs and wings. Well, this version does. That's all I've got.
It's the best you got. Come on. You can do it.
I'm gonna get rid of it. That's enough.
I have feathers.
And feathers. Sorry, my bad. It's kind of like if Gamzly decided to dress as a peacock and then someone came along and went, "Yeah, that's cool, but can you make it sexy?" Effectively, that.
It's a harpy. I think it's a harpy.
I knew it.
I don't know.
I knew it. Deadly Headley's a little bit aroused as well. He called it sexy.
A little bit aroused.
I think that creature is a harpy. Is it not? Is it not a harpy?
Probably. You could call it a harpy, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Was this Darge's handiwork?
Yeah. Shout out to our beautiful community that just likes, making terrible things happen.
You shouted out, you asked the community in Discord, somebody put me on a Dragon's Dogma character, and that's what you got.
Lies. You have no proof. Dragon Dogma. Are we gonna talk about Dragon Dogma right now?
We're certainly going to talk about Dragon's Dogma. This was our smooth segue into the topic of Dragon's Dogma. So Dragon's Dogma 2 is coming out in a few hours. I think it's a global launch, at least on most platforms. The PC might be slightly different, but just over 3 hours from now, everyone should potentially have access to that game. And it looks brilliant. It's reviewed really well, despite performance issues across the board on every platform. And Gamzly, you've been playing the first one. Tell us a little bit about what you're going to do when you first get on to Dragon's Dogma 2, be it midnight, be it tomorrow, whenever it's going to happen. What are you doing? What are you making? What are your characters?
Well,
what are you looking for?
First off, thanks to Brian for it's not a freaking harpy. It's not a harpy at all. It's a sphinx. So shout out to Brian for pointing out what a obvious sphinx looks like. So if you could picture a sphinx and my face on it, and with feathers and open titties, that's me.
It's a sexy
and what was on? Anyways, what am I gonna make? I saw you dabbling in the character creator on Dogma 2, right? That's what you were doing, Asa, when I saw you online?
Did you? I did have a little dabble today, yeah. I've made some characters earlier today.
Yeah, so in Dragon Dogma 1, I basically made Gimli from Lord of the Rings. It's a terrible looking mini person. And I've been just using that as I explore the first Dragon Dogma again. For those who don't actually or haven't actually played Dragon Dogma, before I get to you guys, have you guys played Dragon Dogma 1 on the panel? Asa,
busted.
Headley,
No, I haven't. I've had it installed on three different platforms for about 20 years. I've been meaning to, and I haven't done it.
From all the commentary that I have heard about Dragon's Dogma 2, I think potentially players benefit by not playing the first one before going to the second one, and actually just sort of being introduced to the game mechanics that Dragon's Dogma offers box fresh
Yeah, in
rather
your
than
face,
sort of
Gamzly.
learning stuff from the first one.
Can't unplay it now, can you?
You know what? I'm out.
Enjoy your slightly lessened experience of Dragon's Dogma 2 by playing the prequel.
Brotato is now taking over. No. So I don't blame any of you. So who aren't like familiar with the first one, I don't blame you because it came out in pretty much a golden age. I mean, there was a lot of action RPGs out at the time. There was a lot of RPGs in general out running around at that time. It was very much a strong age in that era. So I don't blame you guys. So who do not play Dragon's Dogma, it's an action RPG, and it was their answer to kind of like Oblivion meets Skyrim. You know, it was really Capcom's like push for a fantasy game in that type of style. But where it differentiates from others is that their pawn system was so amazing. So just like a lot of Capcom games, you have like minions or party members that you run around with. Obviously, Monster Hunter comes to mind immediately. That these, and more often than not, they're super useful. They are probably the most useful party members in any game ever made. These things are brilliant, and I'll tell you a little bit why. Darge Knight in our Discord, we were having like a discussion. He thought, there was a lot of complaints going around at the time that, yes, it's fun. It does some cool things like, grabbing onto stuff and climbing big monsters and trying to get to their weak points. Like it does that very like cool mechanic. Often it has interactability. You could pick up almost anything and use your environment to your advantage, like shoot fire barrels and blow it up with a fire spell. That type of interactability that I tend to just love. But the downsides to every review was like, it's kind of weird to navigate. I don't think people were used to these types of games. Like, it doesn't tell you much at all. You actually have to read about the quest that you want to do. You have to actually listen to the quest giver or something. Yes, there are pin systems. Yes, you could like follow a quest, but it won't tell you every single thing about them. Even like there's a day-night cycle, so like you might miss a quest because you're not in the specific time zone, proper time. You also could completely miss quests, by the way. You could just not do quests and never experience certain quests if you don't go at the right time of day or whatever. So it's very intriguing, but the number one problem was that a lot of people missed stuff. They felt like it didn't hold their hand enough. They felt like the map was weird and awkward to navigate, and they really did knock off points for that. But the pawns, this is where the pawns come in. The pawns are your little allies that you are the Arisen. You're this like spiritual astral being. I won't spoil it more than that. Like, these pawns are exactly pawns. They don't really have a brain. They're not really that intelligent. They're not actually
Oh no. Apologies everyone that's trying to keep up with this and it keeps on crashing out. I don't
there
know.
in the world to help you. Oh
Happened
shit.
again.
How much
Sorry.
did
Carry on.
How
You were
much
talking
did
about
I...
pawns.
They're not actually...
Oh, okay.
That's
So they're
pretty
not actually like human and alive. They're very blank slates, and there's a reason for that. So the lore really, helps you with that.
That was a quick succession one. Sorry, it happened again.
Another one.
Happened again. Bear with
did?
us, folks. I can only apologise. I'm not sure
Oh, I'm so sorry.
why Discord has betrayed
actually
us
not me
tonight,
this
but it
one.
has. Mm.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Maybe I'm talking too much. No, I'm kidding. Fuck you guys.
No, it's a difficult thing, mate.
No, the pawn system is where everything starts to connect, right? They're blank slates with skills and everything. You can build your specific pawn however you want, and
Oh no.
as well online, so everybody gets to like sign up their pawn in this like list that you could then play with. Like my Gamzly could be your Gamzly, and then he could have a skill that you want that you can't get or whatever. It really is. It became a real like community driven system, and it's really unique. So for instance, if I'm trying to go on a quest and this specific quest is irritating, I can't really figure it out, one pawn could actually have a skill or like a knowledge that my pawns do not. Specific things. Did I freeze again?
You did,
looks
I'm
like
afraid.
freezing a lot.
Yeah, it is happening a lot.
Where
I'm not
did
sure
I
there's
stop?
much we can do about it apart from try.
What did you hear?
You're doing okay. Carry on. I can't remember because I was trying to figure out what's going on
You're
with
okay,
Discord,
mate.
to be
You're
honest.
okay.
Okay. So if you're struggling with a quest, you could pick up a guy that might have knowledge of that quest and really help you along that quest. And that goes with everything: skills, knowledge of monsters and creatures, finding weaknesses to specific things. Like the pawns are very much the cheat code, very much the guide that you need without having markers on the map to tell you the same thing. Like it's very not handholdy, but very smart about it. It's very unique, and I love it. And if you haven't played it, if I'm not doing this justice and I'm going around in a circle and you don't quite understand because I'm cutting in and out, pick up this game if you like to explore worlds and you like lore, and you don't like to have your hand held, and give it a break. Like usually if there's something to knock on the game, the pawns answer that. Again, from navigation to tough battles, there's always something that could be done with the pawns, recruiting different ones, kind of like swapping in and out Pokemon,
I have a
it could
question,
be
Gamzly.
done that easy. Yeah.
Dragon's Dogma 2. What
Yeah.
kind of pawn do you like?
What kind of pawn?
Oh no, it's happened again. Yeah, you heard the question. I want to know
I like.
what kind of pawn what kind of pawn you're making for your main pawn. So I've only looked at the character creator, but when you fire up the character creator, you make your character and you make your main pawn, which is the one that you can send to other people, the one that you can have recruited, and they can go adventuring, they can go learning with other players, but they're also going to join you for the entirety of your journey. So what character have you made and what pawn have you made?
Right now, I'm like Gandalf pawning it. So I made a Gandalf mage type of dude. So he's into fire spells and he has an affinity for everything fire. And his creature knowledge, I don't know. We'll see about that.
Is he visually Gandalf?
Yes, visually Gandalf. That's what I'm gonna make.
I apologize, by the way. There's no way with my accent that I can distinct the pronounce. Like, I can't pronounce pawn and pawn meaningfully differently in any way whatsoever. So I'm just leaning into it and asking really awkward questions. I can kind of pick up the difference when Gamzly says it, but my accent just does not accommodate that whatsoever. So this is pawn talk all the way now.
Different kind of show, guys. The Xbox Series podcast after dark.
Yeah, so Gandalf is my quick answer, and for all of you that don't know Dragon Dogma 1, go do that. Pawns are amazing.
Am I right in thinking? Because I've heard that Jez Corden has talked about this in Dragon's Dogma 2. I don't know if it happens in 1 as well, but it basically, like you mentioned before, that there are quests that you may end up missing out on completely.
Yeah.
But your pawns, when you're not online, can go and do those quests, and you can actually reap the rewards from those quests. Not only that, apparently in Dragon's Dogma 2.
Oh no. What an unfortunate face for Gamzly as well on this particular phrase.
For a boss or an enemy. We're frozen again. If you, in Dragon's Dogma 2, if you stumble across an enemy or a boss or some sort of challenge that you as the player have not done, but one of your pawns has, they will support you in doing that. They might go, "Oh, I know how to solve this thing," etc., etc.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah,
really
they
interesting.
call out everything. They call out everything.
That's so
like if
cool.
your pawn has a certain knowledge, like I said, a certain knowledge of a certain beast, a certain boss that you haven't been able to kill or whatever, or a certain spell that helps you out, they will say it. They'll be like, "Oh my god, it's immune to fire." And then you're like, "Oh shit, that thing's immune to fire, so let me blast him with something else, and not waste my time." Or he'll say straight up, "Oh my god, it's weak to fire," vice versa. Or your pawns will call out secret chest, and the thief will run to a chest and pick up stuff for you. Like, or again, some will actually be really well in quest tracking. So if you're having really rough time with the map, like Darge in Discord, some pawns are made for that. Like they'll help you out with the quest. Be like, yes, they'll have lore that you might be missing. So they'll be like, oh my god, yes, Sir fucking Gamzly in his castle, he's over there, and they'll guide you. It's very interesting. Very
their guidance
amazing.
though, like it comes from their adventures, doesn't it? So if you make one at the start of the game, it's not going to know much about the world until it's been out with other players and learned, which means like it's interesting because for me, when you get a single player game, typically I don't, apart from for the sake of content and podcasts and things, I wouldn't feel much drive to get it day one and play it, because it's going to be the same or a better game if you just wait a little bit, and probably cheaper as well. Whereas a multiplayer game, you kind of want to ride the community wave that goes with it. Dragon's Dogma is like walking a really interesting line in that it's doing two things. One of them is that it has this component of learning with the pawns and this community element that's going to make it kind of a different experience if you wait, to some degree, even if not like massively. It's going to be a different experience. And the other thing that it's got going is the character creator is so like, it's a viral marketing stunt in and of itself, just because the amount of characters, like real world likenesses and things like that you see going around the world is just like, it's getting a lot of attention before the game has even come out, just because you're like, oh, here's Daenerys Targaryen or whatever, and it's like, it looks spot on. I tried to make characters in the character creator. I was I don't know why I did it to myself, but no, I decided I'm going to make Chadley from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, so that Chadley can continue to irritate me for hours and hours more as I explore the world. And they've frozen again, but yeah, and I got into the character creator, and I can't see how people are making such stunning creations. We've got people on Gaming Arcadia that have done it as well. Like Saitem has done a really freaking good job of doing Aragorn and Arwen from Lord of the Rings, and like he's just like, look at these characters that I've made, who do you think they are? And you can instantly go, bang, I know exactly who that is because it looks like those people. I can't do that. I don't understand. I'm like, I can make them a little bit bug-eyed and I can give them a big nose. That's the limits of my creative powers. Deadly Headley, have you done the character creator yet? You haven't, have you?
I haven't. No, I do have a very important question about it though. What are their dreadlock options like?
I made my character bald, so I don't know. It definitely.
I'm so sorry, Headley. I don't know, because I don't.
The thing that I
go and find out for
though,
myself. That's the answer.
It is. I was actually quite surprised because I'd seen, before I did the character creator, I only did the character creator a few hours ago, and because I'd seen so many like spot on creations across the internet, I assumed that every facet of the character creator would be massively detailed, and I'd go onto the hairstyles and I'd be able to like pick a base one and then like make certain parts of it alter in length and things like that, which you can do in some other games. But I didn't actually see many options around hair. You got like 50 styles or whatever, but you couldn't then change the length of them or change the bangs or whatever else you get on some other games. So I don't know. I think your best bet, if you're trying to make a likeness of a character, be it yourself or anybody else, you're probably best off first looking at the hair options and seeing if that character is possible or not. And then looking at the monikers. I assume that, so you pick name and you pick a moniker, which I assume is for the sake of the vocalization and speech options. Mm-hmm. Don't know that for sure, but make sure that your character is viable before you start making them, and then sink your hours into it.
I usually do start with hair options, to be fair. It was, so something that Blessing Adeyoye from Kind of Funny did an interesting piece on. Might have been a couple of years ago now. Basically, it actually talks about black representation, and specifically black hairstyle representation in games for a while has not been great. There have been some outliers, and there are some games that can do black hairstyles very, very well. is Dragon's Dogma Japanese made?
Yeah, Capcom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Capcom.
Who knows? Maybe they got it right. Maybe they didn't. I will try the character creator and I will report back. Because it is one of those things that like black hairstyles are still a bit hit and miss in video games. They are getting a lot better significantly, but largely by Western studios rather than Eastern ones.
You're not tired? You're not tired of like Killmonger hairstyle? You're not tired of that?
Yeah, that meme, that is a great meme. It's really, really good.
Yeah, but yeah, I hope you dabble in this game, Headley, because I think that games are getting a little lost on Flash nowadays. Flash, ease of use, I guess, lack of a better word, but like things are just starting to like pop with your attention. It's like social media and like media, a lot of media we consume nowadays. It's like they're not built to hold your attention span very like sophisticatedly. Like I feel like before games were really how do I say teaching you patience and picking at your curiosity, whereas nowadays I feel disconnected from that. It's always like, instead of piquing my curiosity and feeding me little nuggets and making my imagination flow, they give me everything. Like they'll just, whether it's on the map, whether it's I don't give a shit if it's a fox or wind or like painted ground or an arrow, like Ubisoft style, now apparently Final Fantasy. It just, we're losing the plot a little bit, and I really want to go back to the games that fed curiosity in that way. Like old school WoW never told you where to go. You'd have to read the quest line. You'd have to read the quest, say northwest of the cave, Breath of the Wild hits that really well. Things like Elden Ring, and I think that's why they're so big and why they're so intriguing, is because
I really appreciate Baldur's Gate for that.
Yeah, Baldur's Gate especially, like they really do have those old school methods of keeping the player engaged with his mind without just like, skip, next fighting quest, next flashy cutscene, next blah blah blah. So I appreciate Dragon Dogma, and I hope you just pick it up and try it and push your way through, because they really thought about this game, and the pawn system is just incredible, and they deserve the money.
That's
Eradication.
Really interesting there. Go on.
Eradication has said that there are 4 types. There are 4 styles of dreadlocks. Apparently, if anyone is wondering what the answer to that question was.
Out of the 57 total hairstyles from the look
of that. 57 total, which sounds about right. Like, how often do you see someone with dreads versus every other hairstyle?
Gamzly, you touched on something really interesting there, though, in terms of like the core way that games are designed and how they try and hold your attention. I think it's really nice to see like when a game buckles industry trends and says, actually do some work for this game. It can really be a massive like success thing. Like Elden Ring does it in a big way. It doesn't hold your hand at all. The whole Souls genre is famous for it, and it carved out a niche and then exploded from there. But you look at Ubisoft as an example, like the obvious example, and everything that they've done in the way that they design an Assassin's Creed or whatever else is very data driven. It's very by the numbers, and it makes a lot of sense. And I have some sympathy for them, because to a degree, if you're getting a whole bunch of data on the way that players are playing games, and you're looking at these things that are like, well, if we don't give them a quest marker, like this percentage of players just stop playing the game at that point, so we need to give them a quest marker. And if we don't, this is a kind of known Ubisoft stat, is like an event has to happen in the game. You have to encounter something happening every like 45 seconds, otherwise players get bored. So if you're playing like a Far Cry or something, you can almost sense the pattern, and you know when like some event is going to emerge, when some vehicle is going to drive around the corner or something like that, because Ubisoft's data has told them that something has to happen at this cadence and this frequency, or they're going to lose players. And it must be really, really difficult when you're spending a load of money in a game, and you've got to cater to the people that are not even going to read the quest text, that are going to skip the cutscenes and all that kind of stuff, and you've got to cater to the people that want to explore every nook and cranny, and you've got to cater to everyone all at once, because your budget of your game is so much, and you need every type of player to enjoy it, and you lose so much of what makes games good when you design them for everybody. It's something the Arrowhead, the Helldivers guy, said, like, a game for everyone is a game for no one, is like their company motto. That's a good motto. Stop trying to make games for everyone. Make things that are wildly ambitious and ask you to put a little bit of work in, and hopefully, like, I'm sure it's terrible advice, a lot of them will flop, but hopefully you'll get some brilliant gems out of it, and hopefully that's what Dragon's Dogma 2 is going to be.
Yeah, and we've had those, right? Like you said, we've had those things. The first Dark Souls games were lightning. They started like that, right? Ambitious and stuck to a philosophy they believed in, whether it's difficulty or level design or whatever. It really is something I crave now, Um, but yeah, I'm with take your shots and just get us curious again, because I feel like in all mediums, not just games, we are very not curious anymore. We look at the headline and we walk away. If it doesn't satisfy us, if the first paragraph doesn't satisfy us, we walk away. If the first 2 sentences of a book doesn't grip us, we walk away. It's like we're really in a lifestyle that I don't not really agree with. So I hope they start to try and really pique curiosity again. And it's up to
on
us
your
to
side.
support those things.
I want to see that. It's very, very difficult to put out a game that tries to pique curiosity when a different game says you've got to log in every day to collect your daily login reward. That's what they're up against.
Fuck that shit.
Yeah, I hate that.
It's the dopamine. They're up against the goddamn dopamine hits. It's frustrating. Anyway,
shall we then? We're all gonna obviously talk about Dragon's Dogma 2 more next week when we played it a bit. Don't worry, it's not going to be full of spoilers, but we will talk about it a bunch. Let's move on to, there's apparently quite a few big questions to get into, but before that we're going to quickly talk about some of the things that are going on at the Game Developers Conference that's on at the moment. Conference or convention, I don't know, GDC. There's been a few things come out of it. The most obvious one to dive into first of all is Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra. So the Game Developers Conference isn't an event where you'd expect masses of game release trailers and things like that, announcements and so on, because it is an event for developers to get together and talk nerd shit that's like above my head. Typically it's lots of talks on where technology is going and where games are going and all the rest of it, but for some reason we're seeing some pretty big game announcements, and Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra is a massive one. Gamzly, you've seen the trailer. Tell people a little bit about what this game and what you think of it, what you've seen so far.
Yeah, so it was obviously like it was a nice, short and sweet trailer. It's Captain America. So it's a nice spin. I like what they are doing here with pinning the two have this narrative of pinning the two superheroes against each other in some sort of way. They're going through, basically, it opens up with Captain America and what's his name, Black Panther, trying to get to a specific location. I'm not gonna go watch the trailer to know the details of what they're trying to search for. It's a really good trailer. That's why I'm saying that. Go watch it. It's very intriguing.
He's playing on screen now.
Yeah, they're going to a specific location, but they're going to the same location, and it seems like they're getting in each other's way. So they're pinning the two to get against each other. I love the look. The engine looks incredible. I mean, it's from Hennig, right? The girl from Uncharted.
Amy Hennig, yeah.
So yeah, it just gave me, I'm here talking about like Flash and give me some more obscure stuff, but I'm super excited about this this game, only because it seems a little bit different. It seems more mature. It seems it's based in a time that I'm interested in. So and two characters that I love in everything that I see them in, whether it's recent Marvel movies or comics. I'm really intrigued with these two characters, even though they're not necessarily the big big, gigantic names. Well, to this Marvel universe, people of nowadays, they're not as big as, let's say, Iron Man because of Robert Downey Jr. and all that stuff. Anyways, go watch this trailer. I think it looks fun. We didn't get like gameplay or anything, but man, Hennig is in her bag with these type of games, like these action games that just blockbuster hit kind of feel to them. She's in her bag, and now it's making me miss, because wasn't she on a Star Wars thing too?
Yeah,
Like, wasn't that
cancelled Star Wars project?
Man, it makes me so sad. Her team is so talented, or the teams that she's been in is so talented. She's a talented writer, so I hope she does. If anyone could do these two characters justice in a more interesting, more adult kind of way, she can. I'm excited.
There's a few things that I've picked from it that I find interesting, and one thing that I find I'm skeptical of. Interesting about it is the setting, 1943. So Marvel is obviously massive, and storylines from comics and elsewhere have been so thoroughly plumbed and explored that it's nice to see them go, actually, let's do something really different. Let's completely change up the setting. Let's go back to 1943. Let's find heroes that are relevant in that time frame, and just do something slightly more grounded, because Captain America and Black Panther are like skirmishing heroes that run around at ground level, right? In a different setting that's not so fanciful on its technology, and it's nice to see them go back and just say, hey, let's do something entirely different. It's also, the trailer that we saw there was running in real time on Unreal Engine 5.4, most likely on absolutely beastly hardware to make it look and perform like that. But it was very, very impressive and very, very pretty. What the game will look like, though, this is where my slight bit of skepticism comes in, because everything that they say in that trailer and the little like clips, conceptual moments that hint at gameplay, there's no gameplay whatsoever in there, but the things that hint at it: stick to the rooftops, run around like a coward or a wanker, stealth game coming up. This whole thing looks really interesting, and it might not be for me in the slightest. I'm not hiding on the rooftops.
There's no way. There's no way.
Are you concerned?
Because they also... Sorry. I just had to get this out.
On,
for sure, there's 2%. Like, for sure, in that trailer, you're going to get dirty with Captain America. Like, you're going to get in there, ground level, fucking... Black Panther, maybe he's going to be a little bit more stealthy, but man, you're going to love smashing people with Captain America and getting shot at. Come on, let's go.
As long as it lets me, yeah. As long as it doesn't have, like, you must not be detected, infiltrate the base. Fuck off.
Are you concerned then that it may sort of pick up some of those kind of habits from some of the PlayStation blockbusters that we like, but also can sort of acknowledge that aren't perfect for reasons?
It's very much like a personal preference thing. I do not enjoy stealth in games, not so much because, like, as a concept, I don't like sneaking around, but because I just do not feel that it is executed very well in games whatsoever. I'm very, very sneaky and silent. I'm like a natural ninja in real life, which means that when I go into like games, I have a vague understanding of what makes sense when you're sneaking and what doesn't. And stealth in games never feels right to me. Never feels remotely believable. It always just feels like a weird kind of puzzle setup, an awkward hybrid of puzzle solving and Frogger.
You didn't like Splinter Cell, huh? You didn't like that Splinter
Cell? I don't
Cell.
like any stealth games whatsoever. Not a single one. Not saying I never will do, but when it comes up, and obviously the very worst kind of stealth in any game is when you're playing a game that's otherwise an action game, you get into a stealth section and it says if you get detected you have to start this section again, and it's such bullcrap. And I'm really hoping that this doesn't turn out to be one of those.
Like catching chocobos in your fucking Chadley adventure.
And you know the worst part about doing it in that game is, you know, when you've done something like that, you know you're going to have to do more of it, and it's like, don't make me do more.
I can't, Asa. I don't even. I dropped that shit right when I got to one of them. I was like, no, I'm done. I'm fucking done. Till later.
No, Tony, I don't hate stealth because I'm too tall to be stealthy. I'm remarkably stealthy in real life. I could be behind you right now and you wouldn't know it, but I'm not on a podcast.
Right now. Look behind you. He's always behind you. I don't really understand it.
Hey.
Delia, you hadn't seen this trailer until now, so this is your first viewing of it. Tell me.
It actually was.
Tell me your...
Technically my second, because I did manage to sneak a watch in while Gamzly was telling us about Evil West. Sorry, Gamzly.
I hate you.
It's fine. I get it. I would too. It looks cool. I think I'm with you absolutely on sort of the setting being quite interesting, the time period, again not necessarily relying on the fanciful tech, but we might see some really interesting things from like maybe sort of advanced tech that has come from Wakanda that none of the other characters really sort of understand, sort of potentially making Black Panther's contribution quite sort of interesting and dynamic and sort of a little bit more advanced than what we might expect from any of the other sort of supporting forces in 1943. It clearly looks like it's going to be that sort of next big budget Marvel game. I'm quite glad that we get a big budget Marvel game that, well, in theory, big budget Marvel game that isn't exclusive to one platform. I think that's going to be nice and refreshing because it's been a long time since we've seen something like that. The closest, I guess you could say, was Avengers, but I don't really want to
Avengers,
count
Midnight Suns, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, are you okay? So versus those titles, because you're right, we have had a few. How do you expect them to compare to this, given that Amy Hennig is leading?
It's happened again, but I'm gonna read ahead on that question. Oh, he's back. Yeah, it's
hey.
Sorry, Discord did the thing again, but we're just gonna smoothly gloss over that one. Okay. They're obviously leaning into the expertise that Amy Hennig brings into it in terms of the quality of the motion capture and things like that is very much going the cinematic direction, which Midnight Suns didn't particularly, but has been typical in some other Marvel games. What I find kind of interesting about it is it's Bandai Namco, who they work with licensed properties. They've got like Dragon Ball games and various things like that. But for them to take on a Marvel game, impression that we get from the industry in general, what we've seen of the Insomniac leaks and things like that, is that if you take on a Disney license, you're guaranteed a certain amount of success, but you're also mandated to hit a certain amount of success, and you're also going to give away an awful lot of the money that you make from that success, which is why EA very recently came out to say, actually, we're going to try and move away from this. EA have a Black Panther game in the works, which is obviously going to overlap with this fairly heavily, and they have an Iron Man game in the works, but typically they've looked at that and gone, this isn't really the best way forwards for us. So Bandai Namco had this one in the works. It's going to be a high budget game.
We've had another drop again. It's fine.
We have. Yeah, it's going to be a big budget game. It's going to be a cinematic game. Hopefully it's not going to be an overly stealthy game. Hopefully it's going to be a brilliant game, but I think it's 2025 they said that it's due, which is kind of sooner than I expected for something that's just been shown now.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Good. It's nice that we've got more to look forward to, because I think we've come back off like a really crazy year. Like 2023 was just nuts for video games. 2024 so far is shaping up well, but I think it's sort of correct me if I'm wrong here, but I don't really feel like 2024 is serving up as much as what 2023 did, but that's okay. I think 2023 was such a banger year, largely because it was sort of compensating for COVID delays and things like that. But we have got a lot of exciting stuff on the horizon.
I'm gonna stop you right there, you slanderous little man. Here. No, I'm kidding. I'm a little man. I'm the smallest here.
But taller than Asa.
Hey, maybe.
I think so. Are you 6'3"?
I'm 6'7". I'm not 6'7". We're about the same height.
Nah, don't lie to me.
You could have just said any number there, and I've got
exactly.
Yeah, but I'm gonna stop you right. Listen, we've had so far, like I slander some Final Fantasy Rebirth, but we have Final Fantasy Rebirth. I slander. Yeah, actually, I don't slander any Sega games, but I mean, Yakuza is.
Wait,
awesome.
Say that again. Any what games?
Yakuza? No.
Who's the publisher?
Sega?
Okay. Carry on.
What
Sorry.
did you think
did
he
you say?
said?
No,
What do you think I
it
said?
just sounded weird. You've got the whole like
Did I? Maybe you
Sega
sound
Sega
weird.
distinction, and I didn't know what Canada goes
It
with.
didn't do
You
the
know
whole
what? We're
special Nick thing and call it
Can we
Sega, did he?
mute Asa for
Well,
one
it was somewhere in
second?
between.
Alright?
It was somewhere in between. So I just needed to pull back and hear what he said.
Yeah, so Sega. Yakuza, we got Yakuza coming out here swinging. We have Rebirth swinging. We're getting Dragon Dogma 2. We're getting some bangers. Headley.
We are.
Headley.
It's Headley.
Anyways,
It's not Headley.
no, way more to come. Let's move on.
It's funny because you get that though. Like again, it's the social medias and the negativity that floats to the top. There are so many people that you listen to them and you think that this generation of consoles has been awful, and at the same time, it's like this is one of the best years of gaming ever was going around last year. And it's like, yeah, these things
my
don't
backlog
align. You
is
can't
so-
say it's exactly.
My
Phenomenal
backlog is
games everywhere. What a
overwhelmingly
terrible
full.
generation.
Yeah, like I don't know how I'm going to catch up, and I keep on picking up older games like Bully instead of cracking on with finishing Baldur's Gate
Yeah,
3,
and The
so I
Last
can
of
move
Us.
on to Cyberpunk, and then I want to go
You
back to fucking Starfield because I actually miss Starfield quite a lot. But I can't forgive myself for jumping back into Starfield when I've got loads of other games to finish. It's crazy.
Yeah, like Uncharted, right? And Spider-Man.
I can't believe there's people in chat saying that Final Fantasy 15 is the best Final Fantasy. Like, this is wild.
Did
You're
Tony
lucky
say
I've
that?
not got
Tony-
my banning
Tony-
hand out.
Tony did say that.
Tony always
Tony,
says that, but
I'm-
Tony says some things.
Oh man, Tony. Oh, speaking of Final Fantasy 15, 14 is live.
Today, yes. Right? Is it
Yeah.
today? Your document said today. I didn't even know.
Yeah. Yeah, so Final Fantasy 14, one of the best MMOs out there at the moment. There's not a lot of those anymore. Go play that. Go play that with friends. We talked about it extensively. If you want Square Enix on Xbox or wherever you play, go support 14. It's a fun time if you have a community that you like, whether it's this Discord or this community or somebody else's community. Grab some friends, go play some Final Fantasy 14. You might have a great time. Go do that. Play that game. It's awesome.
I'm half tempted by it. I've played like multiple occasions. I've tried to pick up Final Fantasy 14 in the past. Typically I like the Final Fantasy IP and setting. And that game never managed to hold me. But if there were people that wanted to jump into it now as a result of it being on Xbox, or if it just happened to spark a little movement, a little bit of action, and a group of people playing it, then things could be so different with the way that I engage with that game. But whether that will happen or not, I don't know, because I'm just not seeing much of an uptake on the Xbox side at the moment. And that's not to say that the game's going to fail on Xbox or anything dramatic like that. I've got a very small circle that isn't really a perspective worth considering.
Especially
maybe it's a really good
Antonio
game.
with his freaking 15 bullshit. Get that out of here. No, but 14 is good. Go play that, guys. All right,
Tony,
what's
no,
next?
people don't shit on it because they didn't call it Versus 13. You keep on saying that. People shit on it because it was terrible. Nobody cares what the development name was and all the rest of it. It was just...
He's right.
Anyway, sorry.
He's right.
Yeah, I know, but it wasn't just Tony, and I don't want to be too harsh and aggressive. You're allowed to like what you like, but you are wrong on this one. Like Gamzly is wrong on Potato. So we're going to
He's
quickly
right on
gloss over the
Potato.
rest of GDC. I'm really quickly going to run over some of the things that were there for those that haven't seen it, because apparently we've got quite a few questions. I want to get some of those in. Fortnite is getting a first-person mode, if that is of interest to people, which it may or may not be. It's been third-person forever, very stubbornly.
Checking that out.
Yeah.
I installed Fortnite and then immediately uninstalled it because I didn't then have enough space on my hard drive to update Halo. I need to get some expandable storage because I'm at the point now where like I can't fit all of the games that I want to rotate, which is frustrating and stressful. Including Brotato.
I said
I've
rotato
had
for no
several
reason.
opportunities
I
to
don't know why.
uninstall Rotato in the interest of making more space, and I don't even need that much. And Rotato doesn't even take that much space, but I've refused to, partly because I know it will piss off Asa, but also because I am still enjoying it. Mainly because I know it will piss off Asa. But
You're not
I don't
allowed
know
to
why it went
uninstall
this
it
way.
until you've finished it. You know, let's turn this around. You're not allowed to uninstall that game. You're not allowed to play Dragon's Dogma 2 until you've completed Wave 20 of Potato. I think that would
that's
be
fine. I accept
fitting.
that.
You shouldn't. Oh, I got a massive super chat from Dodge. Dodge says, do you guys on the panel believe that Phil will lead Xbox into the next generation? Or like me being Darge Knight, I'm not going to do the accent. I was tempted to try and drop into it, but it's not going to happen. Like me, do you believe that he's laid the foundation for new blood to come in and push Xbox on further?
Can I do that for really quick?
No, Deadly Head. No, yeah, of course you can, Gamzly. Go on. What's happening?
I don't want to acknowledge Darge Knight. No, I'm kidding. So yes, the Phil will definitely be there, but Sarah Bond is going to be the flagship. So, like she's gonna lead the way. I think Phil is gonna only leave when it's like floating nicely, and then obviously Sarah Bond is gonna take the ship.
So you think he's still going to be in charge, but he's going to start pushing Sarah Bond more front and center for?
Yes.
Okay, what do you reckon, Deadly Head? The next Xbox, whenever it may be, who's in charge? I'm not talking about whatever new hardware they've got at the end of this year, but the proper next generation. Who's in charge of Xbox?
I think that Phil Spencer will lead Xbox into the next generation. But yeah, I think you're right, Gamzly. I think at that point it might be time for him to start just sort of stepping back and maybe sort of puts himself into more of an like advisory role. But all of the conversations that we've seen with Phil Spencer, especially recently with like the official podcast, the sort of the one where they sort of sat us all down like they were about to tell the kids that they were getting divorced, even though they actually didn't. It feels like he's still in it to. I can't even say in it to win it, because I don't think that sort of conversation and attitude necessarily helps the day-to-day chats that we have about Xbox and its sort of place in the industry. But it seems like Xbox as a brand is still important to him. The future of Xbox is still important to him. And I think something that really resonated with me was him saying, I've seen Xbox develop over the last 10, 20 years, and I want to be here for the next 20. That for me tells me that he's not necessarily going anywhere. But Gamzly, I think you definitely have a point in saying that he might not still have the same position that he does right now.
So
what are your thoughts on it, Asa?
In the run-up to that particular event that you mentioned, I thought there was a fair chance that he didn't have much longer to go there, because everything that he committed to and everything that he brought to Xbox, I thought they were kind of stepping away from, and they have to a degree. Like they're less committed to Game Pass than they were, in that their marketing is more split. It's not to say that they're not going to keep Game Pass going. Don't misconstrue what I'm saying, but their approach was changing, and they did that interview at some point last year, where Phil Spencer came out and apologized for everything that had been going wrong at Xbox. Like he apologized for Redfall, and he apologized for Starfield, and he apologized for everything, and he apologized for the weather, and he just was really, everything is my fault, everybody blame me. And it really came across as like a pin everything to me because I'm out of here kind of approach to publicity and to the PR side of it. So when they came out this year, sat everyone down to talk about the multi-platform approach, and essentially they recommitted and reaffirmed their commitment to all of the things that he'd already been talking about, all of his like strategic direction and play for the Xbox brand. It's very, very difficult to get a read on what's real and what's not when they're talking publicly, but it felt like there's no reason for him to go if they are still pursuing his vision for the company. I think as soon as they need to backtrack, as soon as there's like a pivot point where they're like, actually, Phil, you tried and we liked some of it, but we want to do third-party exclusives. We want to be more aggressive in this. We want to change this, that, and the other. Then I think he's on the way out. But as long as they're it felt like for them to be able to come out and say the things that he said, he still has backing from Microsoft to stay. And that might be a complete false reading of it because, you know, words and PR don't necessarily tell the full story, but it felt to me like this was, he couldn't have come out and said the things that he said and made the commitments that he made if he didn't still have the full backing to pursue the vision that he's got at Xbox. So for that reason, I'm going to say I don't know the answer to. I just don't know if he's still there or not. I think he can be if he wants to be because they are still behind him. Is what I got from that.
Yeah. I think
Alright.
he clearly spearheaded the moves with the Activision Blizzard King acquisition as well. Like that's a big move for Xbox, and we know that something like that, it doesn't resolve and it doesn't sort of, you won't see the full vision of that kind of come to completion and just sort of, it's not going to be resolved in the space of a couple of years. It's probably not going to be fully resolved over the course of one console generation. Like the weight of that acquisition and the impacts and the ripple effects of it on the industry will take a long time to come to fruition. And I think, you know, he largely has sort of spearheaded that move, in my opinion. Dodge has asked in the chat, what if he steps down? I think it's a different, it's not really something that we've considered as part of this conversation, but absolutely he may do. He may go, you know what, I think we've moved the series generation to a good place. We've got all of our ducks in a row to be able to move the next generation forward, and here's the vision for that. We've laid the roadmap out. It's now time for somebody else to take the reins.
On that one though, so when I said that I think he's still there if he wants to be, that is what I'm alluding to. It could be that he's had enough and he doesn't want to be, but whenever he does leave, it'll be presented as him stepping down because it usually is. Everything else looks a bit bad on the outside, right? So whether he's pushed or steps down, I think he has their backing and can stay if he chooses to. And again, what they put forward to the public and what's real aren't necessarily the same thing, so I could be completely misreading. I think because Dodgers asked a question and got us talking on those kind of questions, we might as well carry this little trend forwards and go on to the questions that we've got throughout the show, because otherwise we are going to run really long if we stay on GDC. So Isla, if you're there and can hear, could you pick a brilliant, fantastic, awesome community question, stick it on the screen, and we'll go over a few of those. And we do try and keep this to the kind of 2 hours at the most, so we'll see how many we can fit in. First question is from Nate State Games. What do you think of Connie Booth joining EA, working with Motive, BioWare, and Cliffhanger? She has incredible pedigree, in your opinion. Are you excited at her appointment and the future of those studios? I had no idea that had happened. So Connie Booth, formerly head of 343, champion of Halo, left Microsoft under potentially acrimonious circumstances, but we don't really have all of the details. Most likely, though, Halo Infinite wasn't received as well as Microsoft wanted. They had a reshuffle of 343.
Connie Booth left PlayStation.
Have I got completely the wrong person? No, I'm thinking Bonnie,
I
aren't
think
I?
so.
So Connie Booth, I'm an idiot. Ignore me, please, everybody. It's a name that has some N's in it. It's very, very confusing. So Connie Booth was the PlayStation... What did she do there? Tell me. I know she was like studio head, wasn't she? She was fairly senior there.
Well, I think she was not the marketing. She was something behind, my God, she was
Googling.
scoping out talent kind of thing. Oh my God.
Her role was...
It was development.
Vice President of Product Development.
Yeah,
I know.
development. So I was right.
I know that when she left, there was speculation that it was to do with the push and shove about games as a service at PlayStation, but that wasn't confirmed or established. I'm an idiot for getting those names wrong, but okay, Connie Booth has gone to EA.
Yeah, so if I could just butt in for a split second, yeah, she was really in charge of developing and really spearheading a lot of projects, and she would go in and get she was really good at scoping out talent and really good at scoping out good projects. She probably misstepped her mission to grow the live service kind of initiative in PlayStation, probably in my eyes, along with what's his name? Tell me the head there that is leaving soon for PlayStation. What's his name?
Jim Ryan.
Jim Ryan. I think they were pushed to find something in live service. Both of them went down with the ship because I don't think that's their aim anymore. But this girl is very, very experienced. This woman knows how to lead teams. This woman knows what a good game looks like, because she's been in that position in the golden days. So her being with these new studios is kind of exciting because they both like those studios have missions to bring in new IP and new ideas that might not be live service, and I'm intrigued with those things and new, any new IP. We'll see what
It's difficult.
We'll see what she could do.
Because from the outside, it was broadly like pinned on her that she was leaving as a result of the conflict between various people in PlayStation as to whether they wanted to pursue games as a service or whether they wanted to not. She was, again, I don't even have the correct name, but my understanding is that she was someone that studios would go to air their grievances and all the rest of it. And what I never established from the outside is whether she was for or against the games as a service approach, whether she was pushing against those studios and that's why she went, or whether like which direction it was and what she's after. EA though, they obviously had their games as a service push for a long time, but as of recent years, pretty much since Dead Space came about and Jedi Fallen Order, they're actually far more reasonable in their kind of balance between what should be live service and what should be a contained single player experience. So I mean, we'll see, and we also won't, because we'll forget this is there, I think. Cool.
Nate is very happily helpfully added some context into the chat. So over the years, Connie Booth has been involved in the production of Spyro the Dragon, Siphon Filter, Ratchet and Clank, SOCOM, Uncharted, Jak and Daxter. Fucking
Hades,
love that game.
Golden.
Infamous, Resistance, Sly Cooper, The Last of Us, and Spider-Man. So she is very much a heavyweight coming from the PlayStation camp. And as we've said, it was alluded to by several sources that she left following a disagreement with sort of pursuing live service, which I buy that theory quite significantly. Like I think, especially if I had been involved in all of those games and had seen the success that they had brought PlayStation, I'd be kind of pissed if they went, all that stuff that's made us a lot of money, not going to do it anymore. It's
like that pedigree is even more impressive when you consider that she was moonlighting as the head of 343 at the same time. I don't understand how she managed to run both those gigs together, but apparently that happened. Let's have the
just to
question
clarify, Connie Booth and Bonnie Ross are not the same person.
Are you sure?
Bonnie Ross is
Bonnie Ross.
Or was.
You're saying that? Yeah, rhyming names, bit of a coincidence. Let's have the next one, please. It's just very embarrassing.
Bonnie and Bonnie.
While we're getting to the next question, don't underestimate this woman. This woman is a very powerful weapon. She's been very keen and very precise with her moves.
It might have been IGN's Unlocked podcast today. I'm pretty sure it was. Like 4 of her team from PlayStation left with her when she did. By the way, which I think speaks volumes.
She had a ton. She had a ton of love. Yeah.
Isla, that question we've already answered. I super chatted that one through. Next one. So Pete has asked, what innovations would you like to see Microsoft implement to improve or revolutionize their gaming community? Pick like a golden feature. If you were to command Microsoft and make them implement something in the kind of Xbox ecosystem, platform, whatever it may be, into that space, what would it be?
Okay.
That's a really good question.
Family plan is mine.
Yes.
I'm just going to burst in there and say it because that would make a massive difference to me having family around. And there's always been talk. Xbox had talk, and the launch of the Xbox One when it was going to be all digital, they had all of this talk around oh shit, there's loads of things. I'm just thinking of things as we go. Family plan, digital reselling, all of this kind of stuff. But they had all these plans for things that you could do if they were always connected. Then they couldn't pursue those for whatever reason. There was too much backlash against it. Then they trialed in, I think, Ireland and Poland, a Game Pass family plan, which is a step in the right direction. I'd like to see a Game Pass family plan. They ended that trial and never actually rolled it out globally, which was a surprise and a disappointment because I would like to see it. But what I would like to see from them is actually not just a Game Pass family plan, but a digital purchasing family plan. So Game Pass gets a lot of attention and is rightfully a focus, but I want to be able to buy games on Xbox in the way that you would buy a disc and be able to let my family play that game. That's what I would like them to implement. Has anybody, while I was talking through that, come up with a bullet of their own?
Yes.
Gamzly.
I want them. Okay, so they've been talking about revamping. Sorry, I had to clear my throat. That was awkward. They've been talking about revamping the achievement systems. So, you know how I feel about achievements. I'm not totally ingrained, and I don't totally love them anymore. I thought they were better in the 360 era. I loved the art that came with them. I loved everything about them. In this revamp, I really want them to kind of figure out a better way in implementing achievements with rewards. Whether they have to whether they need you to be in Game Pass, like a Game Pass sub or not. I really want to see your efforts in game, specific Microsoft games, first party. Like new avatars or new skins in their games. I want to see you earn a special achievement, and that achievement has like a really cool skin for your gun that only achievements can give you. I want maybe weekly achievements that kind of work like weekly reward points, right? More integration with that to get earn maybe real money. I want that type of stuff. I want them to just come in with a bang with achievements again, like make a platinum achievement, to appease people, because your competition really does do that better than you in some cases. But yeah, just really cool rewards. They had them before, like specific skins for your stuff, and your like little me character. Bring that stuff back. It was engaging. Maybe it didn't take as they wanted to, but it was engaging. I dabbled with it a lot. So did my friends, and I don't know. Just give me something cool with achievements.
Yeah, a lot of people, and particularly the platinum thing, like, because that's one where you can look across the fence and see a thing that you like. A lot of people want this "I've completed a game" kind of mark to come across. I think Microsoft can possibly do better than just copying what Sony do, but you're not alone in wanting
like
a revamp there.
A platinum achievement in first-party games that lands you a really cool skin. Like, just a really cool skin for a Halo character. Like, if you're getting a platinum trophy or achievement for Halo specifically and other first-party games, Skyrim, whatever, you can get a really cool outfit or something. I think that goes a long way.
Though? Because without revamping the achievement system, like, that could just be a reward within a game. But what if you finished the campaign, you got like your 1,000 million points, whatever, in Halo Infinite, and then you could have a chief outfit in Gears of War 6? Something more meta.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of alluding to, and I hope that stuff happens. It would be really awesome. Yeah. Anyway.
And Deadly Headley.
You two you've given really, really good answers. So I'm going to give two very, very simple ones. The first is for all of our lovely viewers to hit that like button because it helps us out. And
I want Xbox to make that happen, please, everybody.
I would love Xbox to make that happen. The second one, also nice and easy, and I really want them to make it happen, is just make an Elite controller that can suffer the wrath of my big manly hands, because
but I have small manly hands.
I have gone through 3 Elite controllers that have either broken bumpers, or suffered from stick drift, and I just stop it. That's it. That's
Yeah.
the message.
I understand, but I don't know what that says about my hands because I've never broken an Elite controller. So, am I doing something wrong?
You're more stealthy than I am
into the hand talk
in
with
the
you guys
hands
again.
department.
I'm just not going to do this.
All right, there's our innovations we want from Microsoft. I'm going to smash an Elite controller so that I feel more manly like Deadly Headley. Let's have the next question, please.
That's good.
Mm-mm.
Oh, God.
Right, episode 13. With the Xbox dev kits apparently leaking, do you think that we're going to see a new Xbox sooner rather than later? Do Xbox need to react to the PlayStation 5 Pro? I assume no, and they shouldn't panic. Haha.
Yeah. This is this is a cool, like, weird thing that happened, right? We know from their little conference thing or their little podcast that they are gonna announce another hardware thing, right? We know that's coming, but I didn't actually think it would be a completely either a like I didn't know it would be a pro looking thing, and this looks like a pro looking thing, right? Like, or this looks like maybe a more powerful thing. It also could just be their next gen kit, like their next gen kit, and that's not what actually is certified because something got certified. Maybe it's their next gen kit that's not yet certified or whatever, and what they are certifying is like a handheld that's coming this year or something. But I don't know how that stuff works or what needs to go into it. But it was kind of a shocker seeing this big chunky thing. Usually dev kits are big and chunky and completely different from their finished result. But I was shocked to look. I was shocked by this one. They said they didn't want a pro, so I'm kind of confused. It looks like a pro thing, and I want a handheld. Fuck that shit. And I know you don't. Sorry for my swearing. But I know you don't, Asa. But I hate you, and I don't agree with you. Anyways, next.
That's fair. Deadly, what do you think?
It's a tough one because I think we're in that kind of weird bit of unknown and uncertain territory where I think all of us on this panel have kind of discussed, rightly or wrongly, whether we actually need a PS5 Pro or if Xbox needs a competitor. I think my view is generally if we see a Pro console from one platform, I expect the other platform to sort of keep in line with that and sort of go, all right, here's our thing, because these are sort of still perceived in the wider casual market as direct competitors of each other. So I think personally for me, while I'm not necessarily interested in buying pro consoles, because I think at this point I am getting to the stage where I would rather have a more powerful PC than a small iterative upgrade on a console box. But I think the optics of PlayStation having a PS5 Pro and the Xbox not having an Xbox Series Pro or whatever it is, I think isn't necessarily the best look for the brand. But then we've also discussed on this show that Xbox's answer could be starting the next generation early, which we have heard a lot of rumor about, but still no concrete evidence. I think whatever Xbox's next move is, we are going to see that in some form. They have said that they are sharing hardware or revealing hardware at the end of this year. We don't know what that looks like. It could be a pro model. There is a possibility, but we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Be interesting.
It's not a pro model.
I don't think it will be.
No, so I don't read too much into the dev kit thing because I don't know enough about what's typical and what's normal in terms of Microsoft refreshing dev kits and what requires recertification in Korea. And it could be entirely trivial, or it could be that something is changing in like their cloud stack or anything like that we're just not going to see. So the fact that a dev kit has gone through and been certified, I wouldn't try and jump to any like rash conclusions on what that means in terms of new hardware. As for Microsoft needing to react to the PlayStation 5 Pro, I think like Deadly Headley says, they've potentially got a very awkward year to 2 years of just like optics of an Xbox being totally outmatched by a PlayStation 5 Pro. But a year to 2 years in Microsoft terms and in terms of the strategy that they are lining up is so trivial that they don't need to do very much with it. It'll feel like a long time to people that are trying to console war on Twitter, while their Digital Foundry comparisons aren't going that way for a year. But in Microsoft terms, when they're like, oh, we need to try and break up the duopoly of Google and Apple and get a store onto phones. We need to get cloud computing everywhere. We need to make sure this next console makes all of this sense. And okay, there's a PlayStation 5 Pro. This is not something that we change course and steer the ship to respond to. This is just something happening in the little console space. It's not a big deal. So no, they don't need to respond. Yes, it's going to be slightly awkward for some people for a year to 2 years. And let's do
So last really quick thing. There was in the certification there was like 2 SKUs of something, right? It did have a second thing, and that to me, I don't know, it's weird. Do you need to certify if you do like a handheld and there's 2 models? Do you have to certify both?
This is
separately?
where it's difficult because we don't know what's typical for certification in Korea, what prompts the need to certify, and an Xbox developer kit for a handheld device doesn't necessarily include a handheld device. Like you're making a game rather than playing it, so what does a dev kit need to do to support it, and when does it need recertification? I don't know, and I don't want to assume things that might be nothing. But yeah, I mean, it's fairly likely a handheld is coming, and this thing could be related, could not.
Good, and I hope you're not happy about it, Asa. I hope you're never.
I'm not unhappy, but so long as any Xbox handheld doesn't lower the floor, so long as it can meet or exceed what the Series S does, it doesn't like it's no skin off my nose.
It's going to be a 720 beast. That's what it's going to be.
That's fine. Like if they put something out there that really lowers the floor and constrains what Microsoft developers can do for games going forwards, obviously I'm gonna say I don't care about all you remote players. I want the best games for me. I'm very, very selfish. But if it's, and the Series S is like 3-4 years old by the time this thing comes out, if they can exceed that as a floor, then it does me no harm whatsoever. No, so I support it for the people that enjoy playing like that. Let's have one more question before we evacuate. Crippling debt every 4 years, 1 to 2 years. Xbox will probably never make a Pro again. PlayStation, yeah. So crippling debt. I haven't seen your name before, so I wanted to catch that. Long question from Peter C. Comments. So Isla is pasting right now into the comments the question that Peter Morland has left us on Discord. Excluding Game Pass for a moment, do any of you see any way that Xbox, or for that matter PlayStation, can compete with game pricing on the PC? When my last PC bit the dust, I bit the bullet and built a gaming PC. So without Game Pass, my options, if I choose to buy a new game, are 70 quid on the Xbox or 50 quid on the PC. It's no contest. Yeah, I have some things I can say on that. But Deadly Headley, what do you reckon? Why are Xbox games so much more expensive than PC games, and what can Microsoft do about it?
I don't know why they're getting more expensive, but I think just to add to that, in really, like, I share that sentiment in that there is value in PC gaming, and I think really the thing that exposes that more than anything else in terms of sort of console versus PC disparity is the fact that console players are still paying for online access as well, which I don't agree with. So not only are you getting cheaper games and games that are easy to access by nature of the marketplaces that you can buy them from, but you're also not having to pay to play them online. I think when you take those things into account, and obviously the difference between PC and console is your PC can be worth as much as you want it to be in terms of the components that you're putting in, whereas the price point for console is set. So theoretically, you can actually get a hell of a lot of value out of a PC, depending on, you know, how you're going to cost up the whole experience over the course of a generation. And I've never gamed on PC, so I can't really sort of contribute with my own experiences, but it is one of many reasons why I don't necessarily want to move to PC and abandon console completely, because I like the console experience. I've always enjoyed playing on a couch. I have a really nice TV downstairs that is going to be infinitely prettier than the monitor I've got in front of me. And I don't really fancy having a PC in my living room, but I also want to be able to play games on here and not have to compromise any visual fidelity at all. It's a tricky one. These guys are far more qualified to answer those questions, to be fair.
Right, let's go to the super qualified Gamzly then. Gamzly, what could Microsoft do? What should Microsoft do to get some kind of parity in those prices between console and PC?
Oh man. Oh shoot. I always read why they were so expensive is because they losing so much money on those consoles, right? They want to sell you a console and an expensive game to make their money back. And I think that just the model that console people are used to and console manufacturers are used to. That's how they get the most out of their consumer is, making their money back on their software. So if you start degrading their software and prices are already high on development, you're going to start to kill yourself really quick if your games don't land. And in Microsoft's spot, they're in a rough one because I think they're they're planning on the shift to Game Pass, so they're not thinking like that. They're thinking Game Pass, and we make extra money on Steam. Releasing our games on Steam and cutting the price there. So yeah, without Game Pass, I don't think there's much they can do to compete on the price and sales of PC stuff because it's not the same market as the console market, and they don't make their money the same way. Yeah, I don't know. Like, PlayStation starts to make their money back on consoles after like 2 years with manufacturing prices going down. I don't know about nowadays, but because of the pandemic and all that stuff. But yeah, I don't see a quick fix to this for any of the console manufacturers unless they start to really drop development costs and go for something different and tighten their budgets a little bit more. And yeah, prices are just going to go up, guys, for console games. And I don't see how you fix it.
There's a couple of things on this one. Like, the only meaningful distinction between console releases and PC releases in terms of cost and stuff is that consoles are still tied to physical release to some degree, and for some reason they insist on parity in pricing. So one thing that Microsoft could do to bring prices down would be to decouple digital and physical in the way that they are with Hellblade 2. Right, Hellblade 2 is not a £70 game.
That, right?
Yeah, they are starting that, and obviously Game Pass is a step in that direction as well. So they could do that in terms of sorting the price out. But the other thing that you have to consider is the main thing that dictates the price of these games is what people are willing to pay for them. And the only reason that PC games are cheaper than console games is because PC gamers aren't buying them at 70. There's been several releases that tried it, and it's a very stubborn, very resistant market. If the console gamer was as resistant to high prices, the prices would come down. So the question isn't necessarily like what could Microsoft do to bring the prices down on the console games. They could sign a little form that says the games are cheaper now. They control those prices. They can charge whatever the hell they want. If they wanted to make them cheaper, they'd make them cheaper. But they're a company and they don't want to make things cheaper. They want to get as much money as they possibly can. So the only way that those prices are going to come down is if that will lead to Microsoft making more money, which means it needs to be like it's a relationship with their audience, with the consumer base. They need to see people not buying games at 70 quid, then the prices will come down. Like, that's kind of the equation there. Supply and demand, as they say. Hopefully that answers that as best we can. That's the last question that we'll cover today, because we've hit our 2 hours and a little bit more, which is illegal. We try and wrap it up there. So, Deadly Headley, you've told us in the Discord that you're back on the video production path now. Tell people a little bit about what you've got going on and where they can find you.
So, Asa is right. I have gotten my writing mojo back, which I'm very excited about. For those who don't know me or necessarily know my content, or if this is the first time you've been here, first of all, welcome and thank you for coming by. Make sure you hit subscribe, hit like, all of that stuff, because it helps support our channel here. But I run my own channel on YouTube called Deadly Headley. which you can go and find just by searching me up. I haven't made content in a little while, mainly because life and my peace of mind have both been all over the fucking shop. But I miss writing, so I'm back on it. I have, again, for those who don't know me, I have a journalism degree. I am a graphic designer by day, and I love talking about video games. So I combined those three very specific passions and skills into creating content that has a fairly high production value to it, and I have a great time doing it. I've managed to grow my channel fairly quickly. I started in July of last year, and we're now at just over 800 subscribers, which is something I'm really, really proud about. But again, I'm going to hold my hands up and say I haven't made content since the developer direct, because again, life has been kind of busy. But I'm planning some more content out. Gonna start talking about sort of where I think Xbox as a platform is, what the console industry and space is doing right now, especially with the variables that are sort of thrown into the mixture with the PS5 Pro. Basically, my process is I write an article as if I would have it sort of published on the internet, but I use this fantastic piece of kit behind me, which you may be able to see. No, you probably can't.
Okay,
I have a teleprompter.
Do it again. Do it again.
Tell you what. With this. We see this?
Now we can see it.
We see this?
Mm-hmm.
Just waiting for the stream to catch up. Yeah, we can. Cool. So that is basically a ring light with a teleprompter adapter that I stick an iPad into, and basically all of my content is sort of highly considered and prepped and scripted, and then read out and edited really nicely with gameplay clips, whether they are my own or sort of B-roll from YouTube. Occasionally some sort of funny skits and things thrown in as well, not nearly to the extent that someone like Gaz does, for example. But yeah, I'm really, really proud of my content. So again, if you're new here and you haven't checked it out, please do make sure you go and hit subscribe. And yes, there is more content on the way. Don't worry, you will hear plenty about that on Twitter when I decide to come back onto it, which will be probably when I have new content, to be fair, because I think the lack of distraction from Twitter will probably help me make new content, being brutally blunt there.
Yeah, it's good to hear you're back on it, so something to look forward to.
I'm excited.
Gamzly.
Yeah, good.
Yes.
Tell us what you're up to. Where can people find you?
Nowhere. And
Put the damn potato back on.
You can...
Back on.
He's getting it. You asked.
You shall receive.
It gets worse every time I look at it.
It's terrible. It's gonna start growing shit in my room.
It's gonna look like a flood form before you're done.
Yeah, no, you could find me on this channel. I have two shows: the Xbox Series podcast here every Thursday, 4 p.m., and also my farming show where I grow potatoes.
3 p.m.
I'm kidding.
It's only 4 p.m. this time.
Yes, 4 p.m. Eastern time every
3
Thursday,
p.m. Eastern
right
time.
Here. 3 p.m.
It's 3 p.m. It's 4 this
After
time.
March.
I'm
We've
so
got
sorry, guys.
the
It's
clocks
messing me up.
change. Clocks change for
Yes.
us a week
Get
on
this.
Sunday, and then we are back to normal Eastern time and Pacific time.
So sorry about that. Okay, 3 p.m. Eastern time here Thursday on Gaming Arcadia.
Except for next week.
Talking about next week, yes.
Next week is 4 p.m.
Very complicated. I hate March
Sorry.
for this reason. It's like,
I'm fucking
why?
done.
Why can't it just align nicely? Do your own maths,
Sorry,
Gamzly.
mate. I'm gonna
Carry
shut up.
on.
You know what? I'm not fucking going over this again. You can find me here every Thursday at some random time. It'll change each week. For Xbox Series podcast, talking Xbox and everything about games. Monday I do you can find me on Double Barrel Gaming on Lunch Special with Boom, 12 p.m. Eastern time. And on the Discord channel, this lovely Discord channel that we're growing. The community is amazing. Find me there all the time. I'm just rambling about random shit. So if you like that, come join us and subscribe and hit the like button and share it to your friends so we could like keep running, and check out the Patreon.
Yes, please do all of that. So that's where you'll find me as well. I'm all over the Gaming Arcadia channel. I'm all over the Gaming Arcadia Discord. It is an awesome place. So assuming you're not an arsehole, get involved in the Discord server. If you are an arsehole, just stay out of it because it's a good place at the moment. That's where we are. And all of the usual stuff is coming back. Arcadia Roundtable on the Tuesday, Q&A on the Wednesday. This show, Xbox Series Podcast, on the Thursday. We're going to be playing Halo and some other things on Sunday this week, and many other games besides. For now, that is the end. Thank you for sticking here and watching. Please hit the like button if you haven't done already. We'll see you next time.